The Kenya National Rally Championship reaches the business end of the season with 5 rounds completed and only 3 remaining. Crews headed to Western Kenya on the shores of Lake Victoria, the second largest freshwater lake in the world, for the KISUMU Rally. This is sugarcane country, and the stages will run through the vast cane estates and hills to the east of KISUMU town, providing some spectacular scenery and tricky stages for the drivers to tackle. Baldev Chaga now holds a comfortable lead in the championship after taking victory on the Safari Rally. His main title contenders Tundo and Duncan failed to score points, and Chaga could wrap up the title with another win here in KISUMU.
It's not really over until, it's over. So try to do the best possible recce that we can. Thank God we're not first on the road in this event. It's a difficult one to judge. We just want to see what we can do best. Keep the speed and just try and get it to the end and get in a good position. That's the aim today.
After heavy accident on the Safari Rally, Jasi Chate and Onkarai both arrived in KISUMU with brand new Mitsubishi Evo 10s, and both drivers will be looking forward to getting their confidence back.
It's a new car, Evo 10. It's a good machine, but fortunately I haven't got enough time to settle into it. So this rally is basically a learning curve on the car, to learn the car basically, not to start pushing it now.
Despite the threat of rain the previous evening, it was a bright sunny morning that greeted the drivers at the start of round 6, the KCB KISUMU Rally. The round-robin system meant that it was Ian Duncan's turn to lead the crews away from the KCB KISUMU branch in the town centre. He would be sweeping the road for his rivals behind. The crews will tackle 8 stages in total in sugar plantations to the east of KISUMU. After a brief refueling at the Kibos Sugar Company loading yard in Chemase, the crews will tackle the first 2 stages up and down the Nandi escarpment before returning to the service park. The third stage around Simba will also cut as a spectator stage. Stage 4 and 5 will take the crews through the sugar estates around Chemilil. They were expected to be fast and smooth with a mix of open and technical sections. The crews then had another service before stage 6 and 7, which will be a repeat of the first 2 stages. The final stage will take the crews back to the Simba spectator section before the finish at the service park in Chemase. The crews arrived at the start of the first stage, which was expected to be the most demanding of the day. It was a difficult climb up the rocky escarpment to Dorio, with loose rocks and steep inclines expected to be a real challenge. Duncan was fast into the stage, adopting a cautious approach. As the road sweeper, he dropped 18 seconds to Tundo, but was still second fastest. Tundo was frustrated at having retired in the Safari. The championship all but over, he was determined to save some pride and set a blistering pace to go fastest. This, despite being behind Raji Barij in the uphill climb. Barij was hoping to break the jinx on his season and record a finish, but it didn't start well. A puncture forced him to stop, dropping nearly 5 minutes. Chaga went past, and after getting going, he was soon caught by Tundo, who gave him a hefty nudge out of the way before roaring past. Rajbir Rai has steadily been finding his pace in the Evo 10. He went third fastest, showing his potential, but dropped 38 seconds to the leader. Azhar Anwar never has much luck in KISUMU, but drove cleanly to set the 4th fastest time. Manvir Baryan's confidence had been boosted with a good result of the Safari. He arrived in KISUMU feeling confident. A good drive up the rockery saw him move up to 5th. Jasi Chate was unhappy with the handling of his new Evo 10. He hadn't tested the car and was unfamiliar with its setup. Despite going 6th fastest, he was already 1 minute 34 seconds off the pace. Asad Anwar was settling into rallying again, and despite being in an old Evo 7, he went 7th fastest, only a second behind Chate. Izar Mirza was starting cautiously, hoping to keep it together and record a good result. After showing great potential all season, he was 8th fastest. Farhaz Khan was another driver to roll out of the Safari. 9th fastest was a steady start as he got settled back in behind the wheel. Aldis Diakith arrived at KISUMU sharing the S-Class Championship lead and was hoping to secure a win to open up a gap over Jaswinda Chana. 10th fastest was a good way to begin. Baldev Chaga hopes of wrapping up the championship got off to a bad start. He was finally hit with a puncture after watching his rival suffer all season. He dropped 4 minutes 22 seconds to Tundo and was down in 17th overall. It was going to be a tough challenge to get back up at the leaderboard.
Just a puncher. I think it rained last night and our notes were okay, but I think with the first two cars ahead, the rocks got moved over. And I didn't feel like I hit anything, and just literally 5-10 k's into the stage, we had to stop and change the flat. And that's it, that's all.
Hardeep Resi was only a second behind Keith and will be looking to overhaul the Subaru driver to get into the top 10. Jasmeet Chana started cautiously, not wanting to puncture on the rocky incline. He was a further 5 seconds behind Resi and ready to mount his attack on the following stage. Onkar Rai lost turbo boost on the opening stage and dropped time in the new Evo 10. He was being partnered by Despage Morris, making a welcome return to the navigator's seat. Jaswinder Chana's rally got off to an unlucky start. Buoyed by a win on the Safari, his hopes were soon dashed by a puncture which damaged the hub. They were able to continue but lost 8 minutes. Mahesh Halai was looking for points after failing to finish in the Safari and was nursing the Subaru through the stages. He was third in class but down in 20th overall. Dennis Mwenda needed only to finish the rally and the two-wheel drive championship will be his. Being very cautious not to break the car, he was slow on the opening stage. Aslam Khan was the only classic driver to make the trip to KISUMU and will be driving his own rally, matching himself against the modern machines. He was 18th overall after the first stage. Stage 2 was a fast descent down the steep escarpment with a spectacular scenery looking out across the vast sugarcane plantations. The road was smooth but with a loose top surface that would make braking points tricky. It was a stage that favored the brave. Manveer Baryan recorded his fastest time of the season. The N16 driver was on the attack and moved up from 5th to 3rd overall. Tundo was only a further second behind to extend his lead by a further 9 seconds over Duncan. With a clear road in front, he now had a comfortable 32-second advantage. Baldev Chaga began his fight back up the leaderboard with the 3rd fastest time. The stages were short, making it difficult to pull back the time lost, and he would have to hope others hit problems too. Rajbir Rai went 5th fastest, losing out to Baryan to drop back to 4th. The pair were locked in a close battle and were separated by only 3 seconds. Azhar Anwar drove steadily to keep a hold on 5th. He was 2 seconds faster than Chate to increase the gap to 49 seconds. Chate struggled down the hill. The wheel alignment was out and he backed off. Uncomfortable with the car's handling and brakes on a stage where both were critical. He was still 6th overall. Raji Barij went 8th fastest. He was once again ahead of Tundo on the road and will be checking his mirrors. He was still down in 24th after losing so much on the opener. Izar Mirza was only a second slower than Barij and was enjoying a close battle with Hardeep Resi. The pair were separated by only 12 seconds. Resi rounded out the top 10 times to stay in touch with Mirza and moved up 3 places to 9th overall. Asad Anwar was only a further second behind. He dropped 2 seconds to Mirza and now held a 12-second lead over the coast driver to maintain 7th. Alistair Keith was once again fastest in the S-Class, dropping time to Resi but staying ahead of Jasmeet Chana to keep hold of his top 10 position. Jasmeet Chana overhauled Farhaz Khan to move up to 11th overall. Khan drove cautiously down the hill. Keen not to repeat his mistake from the Safari, he slipped down the leaderboard to 12th overall. Onkar Rai continued to struggle with lack of power. He would have to be patient, unable to do anything before the next service. He was 13th and was already nearly 4 minutes down on the leaders. Tejveer Rai was 13th fastest on this stage but was still outside the top 20 after a puncture on the opening section. Davinder Saimbi, the ex-Chaga N16, was having a good run to hold on to the 14th overall, one place ahead of Chaga. Dennis Mwenda got the better of Mayanja, pulling back 19 seconds on the Ugandan and went fastest in the F2 category. Mayanja still held a comfortable lead over Mwenda and was also 20 seconds ahead of Aslam Khan's Porsche. He held on to 18th overall. Saminyori was the only other F2 driver, but after rolling in Uganda 2 weeks previously, the car was having mechanical issues. He was already 5 minutes down on Mwenda. Phyllis Wamboi was the only lady making an appearance in Kisumu. She was enjoying a clean run in her Subaru Impreza. The end of the second stage was a chance for the crews to return to the Kibo service park at Chemase. There was plenty of work for the mechanics to get on with. Raji Barij and Carl Tundo got a chance to assess the damage after that polite nudge on the first stage.
I had a punch in the morning.
Yes.
It took me quite a long time to change it.
Yes.
And then he was obviously going very fast in the morning, and he was behind us, didn't realize, so we had a little bit of a bump, but nothing untoward. Yeah.
We sat in Raji's dust obviously for 15k, so we've lost a lot of time there, but so long as we can hold the lead in starting to push back.
Baldev Chaga's car was in perfect running order, but he would have a lot of ground to make up for on the coming stages. Jassi Chathe's crew needed to sort out the handling if Jassi was going to challenge for a podium. There would be 3 hard stages to follow before the crews could come back for repairs. Stage 3 took the crews to the first outing at the Simba Spectator section, which was a fast series of straights and hairpins at the start of the stage before the crews continued to complete the 15 kilometers through the sugarcane plantations. Baldev Chaga went fastest to claim his first stage win of the rally by 11 seconds, moving up to 14th in the process, only 48 seconds off Resi in 10th, showing how closely bunched the group was. Duncan was second quickest, consolidating second and pulling back 4 seconds off the leader. It was enough to keep the pressure on Tundo. Jassi Chathe had sorted out the handling problems with his Evo 10 and set the 3rd fastest time, opening up the throttle on the long straights through the cane. Tundo was 4th fastest, backing off a little to protect his lead, but lost 6 seconds to Duncan in the process and couldn't afford any mistakes. Azar Anwar was 6th fastest and would need to increase his pace if he wanted to stay ahead of Chathe. He had closed the gap to Rai down to just 12 seconds in the fight for 4th. Rajbir Rai still held on to the 4th. He was enjoying a good fight with Anwar as he steadily improves in the Evo 10. Azar Mirza was a further 4 seconds behind but moved up to joint 7th with Asad Anwar after the Evo 7 driver lost time. Hardi Presi could only manage the 14th fastest time and dropped back to 10th, but was only 2 seconds behind Chana after 3 stages. Stage 4 from Johari started off fast and smooth, taking the crews through the sugarcane before a more technical and rocky section towards the end along the base of the Nandi escarpment to Daraja Mbili. Tundo and Chaga set an identical time of 9 minutes and 57 over the 15.19 kilometer stage. Tundo was keen to put some breathing space back in front of Duncan. Chaga was pushing hard to recover positions and valuable championship points. He leapfrogged back up to 8th overall with his 2nd fastest time of the day. Jasprit Chathe was flying in the Evo 10, going 3rd fastest and feeling comfortable in the new car, showing no side effects of his big accident only a month before, as we ride on board to get a feel for the stage. Azar Anwar went on the attack to catch Rajbir Rai, setting the 4th fastest time. He was nearly a minute faster than Rai to move into 4th overall. Duncan was still road sweeping with a big gap to the leader and a comfortable cushion of almost a minute to Baryan. He wasn't taking any chances with oncoming traffic. Manveer Baryan dropped a further 14 seconds to Duncan but still held third overall. However, the gap to Azhar Anwar was now only 11 seconds. Jasmeet Chana enjoyed the stage and went 7th fastest to overtake Mirza in the standings. In this seesaw battle, he now held a 1 second advantage in the battle for 9th. Tejveer Rai set his first top 10 time to go 8th fastest, helping him to recover 3 places and move back into the top 15. Hardeep Resi was 9th fastest but dropped out of the top 10 as Baldev Chaga moved up the leaderboard. Raji Barij was slowly creeping back up the leaderboard to line 15th. It was the first time he had made it to the halfway point in a rally and he was nursing the car round. Alistair Keith still had a comfortable lead in the S-Class but had backed off and dropped back to 14th overall, knowing a win would put him back in the championship lead. In the S-Class, Ronak Shah was making a rare appearance. KISUMU being his home event, he was lying second over a minute down on Keith. Chana backed off, not wanting to do any further damage and risk losing valuable championship points. Mahesh Halai was driving to finish after a series of mechanical gremlins had sidelined him in the Safari. With no dramas, he was lying 20th overall and 3rd in class. Omar Mayanja was the fastest F2 driver, pushing the silent Toyota to the limit and taking back 12 seconds from Dennis Mwenda. Mwenda was thinking about his title hopes and backed off towards the end of the stage to avoid damaging the car on the rocks. Stage 5 was the longest stage of the event, taking the cruise from Songor to the Chemelil Academy. It was a difficult stage with plenty of ruts to catch the drivers out, with a slower twisty midsection followed by a very fast sprint to the finish. Ian Duncan went fastest on the long stage, getting into a good rhythm on the narrow twisty midsection. He was 49 seconds behind Tundo, knowing a puncture from the leader would be enough to seize the win. Tundo was only 2 seconds slower, always on the attack despite having a comfortable lead. Jasi Chathe was only a second slower than Tundo on this stage to go 3rd fastest. It meant he overhauled Baryan to move into a podium position. Baldev Chaga backed off a little, not wanting to puncture again, and was 23 seconds slower than Duncan. He moved up into 6th after Rajbir Rai hit problems. Manveer Baryan was 5th fastest but dropped back to 4th after losing 53 seconds to Chathe on this stage. Azhar Anwar maintained his run of 6th fastest times but hit a couple of ruts hard and damaged his rear arm mountings just before the end of the stage. Hardeep Resi set a great time to go 7th fastest, beating his rivals in the close battle for top 10 honours. Asad Anwar also dropped back, losing time over the rough to end the stage in 9th. Jasmeet Chana was passed by Resi and Mirza. He dropped back to 10th with only a 6-second gap to Anwar in front. Rajbir Rai was a big